Welcome. My name is Sasha Moore, and I am here with Steve Lake, who is the Director of Partnerships at National Lending Group, otherwise known as NLG. Good to have you here today, Steve.
Thanks, Sasha. It's always a pleasure.
Indeed. So we've been in a bit of a reflective mode off camera and just having a bit of a chat about the lessons learned for 2022, as well as some of the really tremendous successes. And I always really like to end the year just really considering what those successes are, and really acknowledging those and learning from those. So within your network of brokers and accountants, where have you seen some tremendous successes over the year, I should say?
Yep, thanks, Sasha. It's a great question. So if we were to break that down into mortgage brokers, I think, well, the biggest success we've been is that we've been able to take some brokers that were just going okay, and turn them around to becoming good, consistent writers. So I've got I've got quite a few examples of brokers we take from sort of sub 1 mil in volumes per month up to 3. And one in particular comes to mind. I won't mention names, but he came to us in February. He was writing about 750 on average a month. His problems were that, he'd been broken for 3 or 4 years. His partner gave him the ultimatum. It's either time to, get your skates on with broking or go find a job. We fast forward 9 months. We put him in front of some really good accounting firms in his area. We also got involved with another lead program. He's now settling 3 mil a month on average. And, the problem's gone from you're not making enough money to you're not spending enough time with the family. We're always going to have problems, right? But let's at least have good problems.
That is it. I think I came across a great expression recently, which is called a champagne problem. I was like, that is a good way to term it, right? But
I like that a lot.
I'm curious, and one thing which I've always found just being in business as well, it's what I call like that your what's your true hunger? Is this a hunger game or is there a safety net? And when the chips are down, you either go big or go home. So I think that motivational piece is really, really critical. But having that motivation and soft determination very much mirrors having the hard skills to enable that. So I'm just wondering, in that scenario, how you helped him escalate his turnover so substantially. So I know you've suggested the avenues, but from a tactical perspective, what did that look like?
Okay, so if I was to map it out in steps, so the first step was to identify where his biggest problem was, and he's very customer service driven, which generally, in general terms, means that they're not very good at sales, and they can be a little bit awkward in front of new people, especially when it comes to things like referral partnerships, etc. So he'd tried some referral partners at his previous aggregator, and it was just the wrong fit. So step one was to identify what his strengths were. And then it's about putting a team around him to compensate for his weaknesses or as such. So myself as the business development manager to get in front and center of referral partners that were willing and able to refer to the right person. That was sort of the first step. The second step was to have a really good broker support, which was Vanessa, with him for him to be able to leverage off as well. And then the other one was to make sure that his compliance was easy, and Kerry was really good with that. So having a bit of a team around him, and then bringing other team members into his team, such as we put in 2 accountants and a financial advisor that started to deliver good quality referrals to the broker. And then working with the broker on his communication skills in terms of making sure that he was doing the little things really well. Getting back to the referrer, keeping them updated, tagging the commissions, the deals, so the commissions would get paid on time and accurately, and all these sort of things. And then it was just scaling up gently, because if we had have gone, for argument's sake, if we had have gone too hard, too fast, he probably would have fallen over. There were some times where he was a little bit stressed, but it was a good stress. The stress of having too much business is champagne problem compared to not having enough, right? And this is something that we've done regularly. So, you know, I've got at least half a dozen examples this year of very similar type of brokers that we've been able to bring in. We've been able to put a really good team around, been able to really help nurture and grow into their business a little bit more, become a little bit more confident, have really good systems and processes. But at the end of the day, it's putting good people with good people. So when we find a broker, we find an accountant, they like each other and they're able to work together, it really does bear fruit. So it's a very simple process.
No, that it's good, and I like that it's very methodical as well.
Yeah.
And particularly that it's staged, because one rookie error that I've noticed happen many a time independently, whether it's a very micro organization or even a listed organization, if you don't stage that growth and you don't stage it in a very, very considered and strategic capacity, the wheels fall off. So I like that, you know, there is that very stage plan, but there are also very clear metrics. So what would you say off the back of that would be your greatest piece of advice for a broker who is, say, having sort of more limited turnover than what they would ideally expect?
It's very simple. You need to identify your gaps. You need to, you know, it sounds, mortgage broking is really hard now, right? And it's very time consuming. So, you know, the average deal probably takes somewhere between 15 to 20 hours of work to get it through from first meeting, first introduction to a prospect, taking it right through to settlement. And what that's meant is that the capacity for the average broker who's on their own is really diminished. And it means that, more importantly, it actually means that a lot of brokers don't have the time to go out and prospect for new referral partners. And so it's important to get people involved in your business. There's no point having two really good mortgage brokers work together, right? But that are very good at customer service, because they're the same. But if you've got a broker that's really good at getting business and and someone that's really good at doing business, all of a sudden you've got this partnership that doesn't really have limits. And that's what we try to do at NLG, is identify brokers that are really good at customer service, have very strong lending principles and lending foundations, but might not be too good at the business development side, because that's what we love to do. And partnering with those, we can bring to them what they don't have, but they also bring to us what we don't have, which is, you know, another good quality broker that can really work well with clients and referral partners. But if there was the one takeaway, identify what your weaknesses are and seek to fix that with the right partnerships.
Yeah, I love that piece. And I think it's really interesting, you know, obviously there's a lot of pressure on market to diversify and so on and so forth. But I think if you look at your strengths and you identify what your core strengths are, and then you collaborate very specifically with people who and be open about what your strengths aren't. If you do have that collaboration, then that's a power dynamic, right?
Oh, it's absolutely huge. And when you mix that with working on your strengths to become even better at what you do, you know, I always tell my kids, it doesn't matter what you do in life. If you're the best at it, you'll make as much money as you want, right? And that's what we all need to do, is grow as people. And the brokers that we bring on, one of the most wonderful things, Sasha, is that they're much better brokers than when we found them. And it's not through our work, it's actually through them being able to focus on what they do really well and being able to grow as a broker and as a customer service and as a salesperson, without having the stress of having to then go and, you know, build referral partners and that sort of thing as well, if that makes sense. When you can focus on what you can do, and you do, they just grow exponentially as brokers and people, and it's absolutely wonderful to watch.
Yeah, I bet. But it is, I completely agree with that takeout, is, you know, focus on your strengths and just release yourself from that feeling that you have to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, always great to speak to you.
Thanks, Sasha.
Thank you.